Oh god, actually, we're definitely covering that up because that is not worthy for just now at this time of night while I've not showered. So, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Saturday night currently. I have had a couple of things come up over the last couple of weeks that I didn't really mention in the last video. One of which being that the Scottish Drift Championship that I planned on entering, that I currently thought, or previously thought, was in August, turned out not to be August. I just wanted to alliterate as to how much time I really have. The competition is in April. Unfortunately, it's a lot more of a smaller time frame than I originally thought. But on the plus side, I have some time. Now, with the amount of work that I still have to do, hopefully it's enough time to get everything done, but it's a time crunch, so we have to get to move on. Hence why we're definitely going over tomorrow regardless of weather. So, looking forward to it. With the amount of things I've done at the garage behind the curtains, I've essentially pretty much organised it top to bottom. The only light that I do have finally pointing in a way that will actually help me work during the nighttime. So I'm going to be making a playlist of videos that I'm going to be doing on the car called Nighttime Mode. They'll be probably uploaded whenever at this point, just because at this very current point in time with the weather being outside, it's kind of hellish, and unfortunately I'm kind of only in a cattle shed, and a cattle shed doesn't really have doors. So I don't really have any prevention from the outside getting in. So not really ideal for working underneath a car or working on a car or welding on a car if it comes down to it, which is probably more than likely, but that's in a future video anyway. So basically with the competition being a couple of months away, it gives me enough time that if I shift my booty and continuously do Sunday videos, it'll hopefully give me enough time, enough progress to finally finish the car well enough that it can potentially compete in the Scottish Drift Championship, which I've said I'm very determined to go to. This is what I could see as my opportunity to finally get in the door of being somewhere that I want to be. Granted, being a spectator is a lot of fun, but competing is another story, so gives me a reason to get really excited and hyped up about it so I can work on the car. Tonight I was actually speaking to a guy who deals with BMW parts as his own company, BMW Spares, Rennie Morocco, a very, very good gentleman, to take a list that I make of the BMW or what the BMW needs, and he would go out and see about sourcing all the parts, giving me a rough estimate, making my life a wee bit easier, so couldn't be more thankful for him. But with that being said, that won't be for another couple of weeks, but plenty of work to do for the time being. One of which running the brake lines for the BMW, as well as finally addressing all the minor points of BMW. Keeping one particular plate off the car, but certainly getting rid of quite a lot of it. Definitely a turd, but we're gonna start polishing essentially and get to it and hopefully make it into somewhat of a reasonably looking BMW. I went off, bought some tyres for the pair of wheels that I have, so hopefully they fit, but that's pretty much the plan for tomorrow. For the time being, I'm gonna chill out and watch the rest of the British Drift Championship because I am the prize. So, have a wonderful night and enjoy the rest of the video. Have a good one. Hello guys, welcome back again to another Sunday morning. It's bright, it's a bit dull, it's a bit miserable, but we're living in the high hope that the weather keeps up and actually stays relatively good. It's actually, I mean, since yesterday was just a moral piss take. Is that screw in my tyre? It fucking is. When did that get in there? Huh. I just found that little bugger in there. Anyway. Aye, so another Sunday morning. We've got a wee bit to do, safe to say. This is the first day that I've actually got a recording setup that I know is going to work, guaranteed. So I've got no worries to when it comes down to editing and stuff like that. So it's just a case of plowing on and doing what I need to do. But as I had said last night, I do plan on cutting up this car in a couple of different shape, ways and forms, but I'm just gonna give you pretty good ideas to where I particularly need to cut. So there's the obvious bit on the driver's side, but there's also just this little bit here, which isn't the worst in the world. I mean, it's literally just a plate and a jacking point. The rest of the sides aren't looking all too shabby. Like, that's a rear quarter. On the passenger side is driver's side. I'm not getting into that, but anyway. And then there's the driver's front, which isn't really looking all too great either, but it's not until you get underneath where, again, it's actually not looking all too bad. But aye, there's some of the brake lines that I'm planning on taking out and completely replacing. That is the worst of the rust on the car. Granted, when I say the worst of the rust, I don't know what the situation or what the look of this BMW was before it got painted, but I'm sure the paint didn't actually do any favors for the rust in that. Mainly because it probably. Anyway, there's a couple of things that I also didn't add on last night with regards to cutting, but also just the job in itself. Both of the inner doors are, well, sound. They're regular doors, but the thing is that unfortunately both latches for the inner door handles have both snapped off from the latch itself, which is a little plastic bit. Now, very difficult to reach, so my personal opinion that I want to do is actually take the doors off and start cutting the inners completely out and hopefully manage to get to that latch. I think, me personally, I am going to, because I'm pretty sure it's just literally down, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere underneath here. Now, one thing that I can do is actually move the windows, which is a huge bonus. I do actually have the clicky clacks for them. They do plug in and they do still work. So I think one of the jobs that I plan on doing is getting the windows up, getting the doors off, and cutting the inner off the door, and if anything I make it a wee bit lighter, so huge bonus. But I definitely need to get into these latches, because obviously I won't be able to compete with no working inner door handles. Kind of need to get in and out of the car without it just being window open or window down, and so door handles are one thing, bodywork's another. Brake lines, well, I started taking them all apart, and I can't even mind how far I got into actually taking them apart, but I think that that's from the front, that little T-pipe there, that's for the hydraulic handbrake, the one closest to us, and that's for the T-pipe going down to the rear for both calipers at the back. But as I said, when I was at the high limits, I wasn't able to bleed the brakes. One, because I thought there was dirt in the system, and two, I think the hydraulic handbrake was being a bit temperamental. Not that it's going to matter, because we're going to be doing the dual caliper setup, which means that the hydro will be independent of itself and have its own calipers, which means that I will always have brakes in the rear, which is good, because it's better than no brakes. And with the fact that I'm doing this dual caliper setup, I've been told that when I'm doing brake system and that, it helps a lot with the ABS system being completely out of the car, and unfortunately I just don't really see me either, one, having the budget to do that, or two, to have the resources to do it quickly, efficiently, and be able to do it in time before the event. Now, this is the ABS box. These lines are from, oh, actually, yeah. So one set of lines are for the front, one set of lines are for the rear. And I think essentially I'm just going to plumb in the brake system back to the way that it was. I would be more biased to having the brakes in the front if it was actually my choice for future endeavors, but unfortunately we're kind of on a time crunch. So I am just going to be putting the brake system back together as per standard, and then running the dual hydro setup. And yeah, no interference played with the brakes, and maybe later down, actually no, because this car is going to get binned anyway, so at least I'm pretty sure it is. Oh wow, I didn't realize you could see all the way through the car. Okay, I had no idea. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think I'm gonna start with the brake lines, and then so here we go. But for the time being, I'm gonna take one step at a time, because I'm known for jumping from thing to thing and not really being able to concentrate at one thing at a time. So that's the goal pretty much for the day, is just get one thing done at a time and actually say that they're done. So first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get underneath the car, and I'm gonna start taking out all of the old brake pipes, because either they're filled with dirt or they're filled with air. Either way, so I'm gonna get move on with going underneath and sliding every bit of copper piping out, basically. So enjoy. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick look as to what I'm doing, basically. Give a better understanding. So basically, because this car has been through hell and back with water and dirt and rust, everything that was original in the car is still original, and parts that you would normally assume would never get changed, like the brake line on the rear. For one side at least, it's rusted over. Basically all the fittings in that have all rusted over. So I tried using 11mm on one point. That would have taken the whole brake line out from one side. Turns out I knew it was a 10, but I tried an 11 anyway, and it rounded off because I'm an idiot and rust. So now in the process, iron brew, best thing ever. Anyway, now in the process of trying to take the brake line off from the caliper side rather than halfway in between. It's just making life a wee bit more difficult than I would like it to be, because I've already been doing this for about half an hour, so not ideal. For the time being, we are just trying to get that little beggar out. There we go. This one's just as bad as the one underneath, but I'll try and see if I can give you a quick look at the one underneath. Whee! So that little, yeah, with that rounded off, it's making my life a wee bit more difficult than it needs to be. Basically, that is connected to that. I don't think anyone's, oh well, maybe actually. Either way, that fitting's got a shit ton of rust on it, and it's just not worth salvaging, so it goes all the way underneath. You could probably see it just through there. Round the diff, you can see it just, here she is, sitting cozy. Goes from there, comes round, comes through, and she's there. It's basically just a case of whoop, replacing everything. Next plan of attack, I'm gonna try and get this clip and slide that out so that it's got a wee bit more room, and hopefully it'll bring it loose enough that I'll be able to get the fitting off, and then I'll be able to run the whole line out, which is good. So I'm gonna get a pair of long-nosed pliers, and I'm gonna have a wee attempt at this and see how we go. It's already been a hassle, but it's a hassle worth doing, and I know that for a fact. As you can see now, clearly, I'm actually able to wiggle that, which is huge. Now, hopefully, that fitting should be able to, hopefully with low enough force, slip off, which means I'll be able to get the whole line out. Hey, good start. Right, let's just try that thing. Haha, right, okay, that's cool. I've just realised I could have saved myself a shit ton of time if I'd have just taken a second and thought about it. Anyway, moving on. The reason that Ryan is an idiot now is because if he thought about it, we'd have been able just to take cut that clip short enough that I could actually just go through the hole. I could just cut the pipe from here, and we just ignore this whole process and take that nut off freely without having to have such a small gap to play with. So, gonna do that instead. Thank Christ. Think smart, not hard. That's the I think that's pretty much the aim of this game. This whole fecking cars. Think smart, not hard. We're not doing a whole rebuild, we're doing what the necessary is. Look at that, man. I keep on going on about this panel, but I gave it a beat. So I took a hammer to it, and it's just... We'll get her living again. We'll get her there. Just roam again. Right, I'm gonna get this clip small enough that I can actually just take the whole fitting out through the bottom and cut the pipe from the top, and we'll be dandy. After way too long, finally got it. And that being the brake line means I can finally run it all the way out from the rest of the car. So it means that I'll just be able to run new lines and use, doesn't seem that bad, just to get this fit in it, that's all. So I can manage that. But pull the rest of the line out, and see how we look, and then start marking up some new, relatively the same lines to just go straight back underneath the car. So pretty decent start, just took a wee bit longer than anticipated, but we're here, we're done. Well, that part anyway. I think the main thing that makes this most difficult is the fact that, like, I'm having to do it with a car that isn't completely jacked up, because unfortunately I don't have a good enough jack to get it high enough, because budget, and I don't have anything else to offer other than these. But we work with what we have in this workshop, and this is what I have. So I'm gonna get to taking that out and get a move on. Hey. One quick thing that I didn't actually show in any of the previous footage that I did, mainly because I didn't have the right equipment at the time, but now I can safely say that I have electricity, which is wonderful. As I said before, I do have working lights, and now the light is actually pointing in a good area where it's covering me and the car, so huge bonus. But I found an outlet very close to the place enough anyway, so that I am able to use anything. Not a space heater anyway, because that's keeping nada in. But also, one last thing. As I said before, or yesterday, I bought new tyres to fit the new wheels. Well, I say new wheels, pair of wheels. That is just another set of practice tyres. The guy seemed really sound. Paul, his name was, really canny lad. He's asking me about parts for his Audi that I was happy to help with, or at least recommend anyway. Whether you take my recommendation up is another story, but these particular tyres are a set of Goodyear Eagle F1s. Where are you? Yep, Eagle F1s. I've checked the size of this wheel. It's a 8J, which on an 8J setup you can do between 215 and like 235, I think it is. 215 and 235, 255 maybe. But this particular one is getting 225 40s because that is the limit that I can run in the class that I'm doing. But to be honest, it's way too much tyre for me anyway. The tyres that were on the back of this thing, I think are 195s, or were originally, yep, 195 50 15s. So big size difference, and I'm probably gonna just run them on the fronts just so that I have less tyre on the rear, so I can get less traction, which is exactly the whole point of the competition. So these 195 50 15s all end up going on the back along with the 205. Don't fall, you are 205 45 16. So it fell. No, wait, there we go. So I've got a good friend who I used to work for once upon a time at Room Tech, that I'm hoping that he would be able to sort my issue with my tyres. He's always remained a pretty good pal and a family friend, so I'm kind of wanting to see if he would be willing to have a go at my tyres. Unfortunately, the 15s I have in the rear, that I've always had in the rear, for some reason always lose pressure very quickly, probably about 3 or 4 hours. So no bueno, unfortunately, which I'm pretty sure is just a sealing issue. So get the tyres off, reseal them, put them back on, and then I'm gonna get him to obviously fit the 225s and see if they actually do fit. Pretty confident they will, but this channel is known for being unfortunate and unlucky. Too much going on in my head, so I always try and focus. We're trying to focus on one thing at a time today. So we're gonna get back to the good old brake system, and as I said before, it's just a case of whipping them out. Not too difficult. The hydraulic handbrake will get its own calipers that it will be able to run to. So I don't think I have enough brake line to do all of it today, but one step at a time. It's the first Sunday of many, so I think we'll just make a start and we'll just see how far we get. But yeah, good times. I don't think I've reached that front. Eh, maybe. There. There's the rear, the loss of the front, and that is just what's left of the front brakes. Connect it to. So, we're done. Kind of. Almost. Well, we're done taking it apart, which is a huge bonus. I'm on over the hill. Let's go. There you go. Beautiful. As you can see, not ideal. Old, cruddy, unnecessary. It's not necessary, it's incredibly necessary, hence why we're going to improve it. All I'll need to do after I run the new lines is just bleed the brake system, which I did umpteen amounts of times at Highland Matsuri when I was trying to plumb in the hydraulic handbrake. We're going to get the new lines and we're going to compare them to the parts that I know that I need to. To be honest, I should probably make it a lot easier for myself rather than putting it the same way that it was originally. Not saying that that could have been done a lot easier, but it could have been done a lot easier. So we're gonna take the new lines, which are bibbidi bobbidi boop, somewhere over here, haha, and we're gonna see if this will be enough to replace Probably not the whole rear end, but at least to make the lines necessary that will fit, which shouldn't be too difficult. But old brake hoses that I plan on using again because they're not leaking, there's no tear in them, there's nothing particularly wrong with them. As with this one, this is the one, nope, actually this is the one that I just took out, other than the fact of just that, but I can take that out, that's no problem. It's easier access with it being out of the car, but that was just completely cluttered and rust, like bit too much of an understatement, and you can see just where it started rounding off as well, or wanted to anyway. So good thing just to cut a corner and make life a wee bit easier for myself. So next plan of attack, get underneath, new lines, hopefully be able to use some of the fittings that had previously been on this thing. I know I'm definitely going to have to use the T-pipe again. These are new fittings that I had put on when I was at the Highland Matsuri. These are obviously the older ones. Well, that one might not be, but definitely that one, which is the one that I was struggling to get to as well, because again, it was rounding. So, we're gonna make a start, new lines, let's go. It's even funnier, while I was just about to do that, I got a notification on my phone from eBay. They recommended me copper lines 3/16 for brake lines and fittings, which will be getting bought tonight. So, but as I said, let's just crack on. Okay, so first start of the process, I just wanted to unravel the amount of copper pipe that I had, just to see as to how much I had to work with. And to be honest, I mean, it could probably do most of the car, or at least the actual brakes themselves. Probably not the hydraulic handbrake included, but to be honest, it's not that big a deal, because one, I have one set of calipers on the way, the right set. As I said, I fortunately spoke to a very good lad, Rennie Morocco. So he is sending me over a set of 320 CI calipers that will guarantee to fit this car and be the same size as the originals. I still have one set of 330 calipers to get rid of, but I did actually manage to get the other ones sent away and returned, which was a huge bonus. But I living happy. Junk. I could refurbish those, to be fair, or just redo them myself and make a video of it on its own, but I'm still debating. The time crunch isn't 100% time crunch yet, so we're still just kind of taking it as it comes. I still think that the brake lines are probably enough to actually do the whole rear brake system back up to that T-pipe that's just up there, which means that I might have working brakes again, which would be a really big step in the right direction, mainly because I had no brakes at the Highland Matsuri. So, good step in the right direction. I'm gonna start routing this in there. So, the only thing that I'm limited on is the memory on my phone, which stopped a time lapse halfway through one of them, so kind of limited, but we'll capture what we can and we'll just keep going. Let's go. You know when John's kicking about, when the pups show up first. Don't know what he is at the moment, but hi. Come here. Hello. Hello. Hey, you. Here he is. Hello, darling. Hello. Hello. Okay, so basically after lining up pretty much all the old hardware with the new and giving it a wee bit extra for ones that I've cut off the end, and fittings are still on, and unfortunately might not be enough for today, but as I said before, we'll make what we can of it. There's like a couple more bits of hardware that I'm still to add on, so Unfortunate, but basically just going to cut to length and start flaring and get everything pretty much lined up underneath, or at least line everything up first, then flare, then fit, then finish. So you join me again after a wee while of lining up the brake pipes and basically setting them where they're all going to be for the foreseeable. The only thing that I'll have to do, oh my days, I can feel the amount of dirt that I've got on me. That's ridiculous. So just to show you, or hopefully I'll be able to show you if this camera decides it wants to feckin' focus. So as you can see, those two copper pipes are the new pipes, and those will be joining to a T-pipe to then go to that T-pipe. So not much far for it to travel, but wanted to make sure I had a wee bit extra just in case. Those will fit up onto a bracket up there. There is also another bracket that goes up in here and is up there, I think. Unfortunately, as I said before, I kind of had a feeling that I wasn't going to have enough brake line to do all of it, and I was pretty much kind of right, I guess. I kind of duffed up a wee bit as well by shortening one of them a wee bit too much, which was unfortunately the one that was going to get all of it working. But it's not really a big deal. It just means that I'm going to need a fitting just like the one that was seized. It just means that I'm going to have to buy myself a fitting pretty much like this so that the pipe can join onto itself. But that can come at some point or another. It just means that I won't be able to get the brakes bled today, which is sound. But at least I've got the lines ran to where they need to be. So as you can see from this angle here, you have one brake line coming from around the tank and coming up and around and down into what is going to be where the brake pipe sits. The rubber brake pipe comes down here and goes out and into a caliper. And the other pipe is the pipe that is not really going to anything at the moment. Where is it? Oh, it goes into the abyss, but it pretty much stops there and it comes out and up and over and along, where it comes out over to the other side, run it all the way through, and I'm gonna tuck it underneath there a wee bit more, but overall it's pretty much done. That should be enough for it to clear everything underneath. And it's just pretty much taking all the lines that I've just run out. You pretty much just have to wait for new fittings to come for the new lines. And it's kind of come to a point where my phone is starting to freeze as well, just because of the cold. It's not even that cold and my phone is freezing for some reason, and it's not recording the videos that I want it to. But while I was in the process doing the lines, I started looking into this panel, and well, just like I have done this whole video, I took a hammer to it, and it's just progressively just getting more itself. It's becoming more itself. It's kind of showing its roots, and it's kind of showing all its imperfections, and there are quite a bit of them. But at this point now, this whole panel will need to get cut out. I'm not going to do that today. I am going to do that next week, because I feel like the video has pretty much gone on long enough. So I am going to pretty much put a stop here, put in an order for fittings and hoses. It's Sunday. It's God's day. I'm going to try and enjoy the rest of it as much as I can, but we've made some progress. We took the lines out, mocked up new lines. I just need to wait for new fittings. It's not been a bad day. So any progress is better than no progress. I'm happy with it, relatively. So as I said, we'll stop here. I hope you guys enjoy the content. It might not be much to look at the moment, but hopefully within the next few weeks we'll be able to have a brake system finished, panels cut off, and see where we go from there. as I said, nighttime mode's coming along anyway, so there's times that I'll be coming after work and stuff like that, coming down here and not using any power tools because, as I've said previously, there are neighbours literally just over there. Don't want to upset them too much. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you like, comment and subscribe, because each week just gets a wee bit better and better, and next thing you know, this whole car will be built and finished and away to the track. I say built and finished, it will be functional, just like last night. So anyway, I'll leave you to the rest of your night. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.